You know your boss room's going to be pretty tough when you start running out of the dice that you're using to show where all the monsters are in the field. So welcome to my channel, Intelligent 14 Wisdom 2, and this session, player -2 and player -1 were both gone. I thought they would be here for the next session, but they weren't, so we had to roll with it. I had their character sheets, and I was able to run them here for them, which was really good, because otherwise the party would have been destroyed. Because player 3 was also gone. I need nicknames for these people. Like, I don't want to put their names out on the internet, but I also need just numbers is going to be too confusing. I like numbers though. So back to the main subject of the video. Phoenix was also gone, and so we kind of just ignored the fact that he was there and went into the boss room. So as mentioned previously, Creston had just been attacked by Maximilian's Earthen Grasp and pulled to the wall. So then Albertus rushed in to help Creston also fight that Stone Mage guy. So on the Stone Mage's turn, he pulled out a couple of pebbles from the wall and shook them a little bit until they glowed. And everybody at that table, well, not everybody, but the people, player 1 and player 2, both knew, they remembered what this was. This was actually player -2's signature cantrip back in the previous campaign. This is Magic Stone. You imbue stones with energy, and then you can throw them and do some damage. It's a pretty fun spell. So the Stone Mage threw one of those, and it hit, dealing a little bit of damage, and then the Stone Mage fled because he was alone. There was also Douglas in the room behind Albertus, so he wasn't going to have a good time. So he left, the Earthen Grasp vanished, and what Albertus, Douglas, and Creston could see was that there was a Stone Mage. There were also 3 goblins and 2 hobgoblins in the next room that they couldn't see all of it because they were just looking from one angle, but that was all they could see. Meanwhile, Aoth and God are in the bugbear den, and the 2 bugbears who had been wounded by the attack had fled into the room. Aoth could see him. He could also see there was another goblin next to the wall. And now I was drawing the room on the board, so everybody could see, yeah, these are probably the same room. They just couldn't see everything that was in the room. And I thought that was really fun, just slowly building up the amount of people in this room. So Aoth cast Thunderous Smite on himself and rushed in to go attack, I think it was one of the bugbears. When he fully came into the room, I drew out the rest of it because he was now in there. He could see. So there was, to his left, there was a little alcove with a throne. There was this big fat goblin with a spear and a scimitar. This is a goblin boss. There are 2 goblins hiding behind him, and Aoth wouldn't know this, but I told everybody, hey, these are the 2 people who escaped from the goblin quarters that y'all nuked with a shatter. There was also those 2 bugbears, and there was another hobgoblin who'd been out of sight, and then he could see the other people that Albertus could see. And then there was also a prisoner chained up to the wall, and there was a little bottle lying next to him. Some sort of like torture device or something. However, we're not done yet. There was still one more enemy in this room, and this was a bugbear who had been hiding on the ceiling, waiting for somebody to rush through. Now, bugbears have this thing called sneak attack. It's similar to the rogue sneak attack. If he'd landed his sneak attack, this bugbear would have done 2d8 plus 2d6 plus 2 damage. That was assuming he didn't crit. But he rolled really badly, and so he just flopped down and swung his Morningstar into the wall. Aoth just shrugged and swung, hit with his Thunder Smite, did like 24 damage, and smacked that bugbear into the wall. He probably should have died right then, honestly. That would have been so cool, and just like a sort of a reversal, a gotcha movement. So, in total, this boss room had 5 goblins, 2 hobgoblins, 3 bugbears, 1 goblin stone mage, and 1 goblin boss. I mean, I don't think any of them were above CR2. Maybe I think the goblin boss was CR3. That stone mage was CR2. He was like a custom guy I made. Just wanted to add a bit more flavor, you know, add the spellcaster to complement the leader, and then the mooks. Looking at the board, I thought to myself, well, you know, this might end up being a silverer situation. My fears were quickly diminished when Albertus cast Shatter into the room and just, like, destroyed a bunch of the goblins. He killed the wounded bugbears, which by now there were 3 of them. There's only like 2 goblins left, and then 2 hobgoblins. Maybe there's another one, and also the stone mage. But like, he decimated the room, and so I thought, okay, we're good. We don't need to like, divine intervention or something like that. So one of the hobgoblins tried to rush for the exit, trying to get out, while the other one stayed and fought Creston. The hobgoblin who was escaping, he got hit by Douglas, didn't go down, but he was like, no, please, don't kill me. I'll do what you want. He used his action to disengage out of the room. Douglas ran after him, smacked him with the flat of his axe, so I ruled, yep, that's bludgeoning damage, that's gonna knock him out. So Albertus tied him up, and Douglas went back into the fray. Meanwhile, Creston and the Hobgoblin, both of which were people controlled by me, were just whacking at each other back and forth. They couldn't seem to land a blow on each other. It was kind of this, this beautiful dance of smash and smash. It was just this kind of dance going on in the background. It wasn't affecting. And I think that's a good way to, if you have an NPC that's joined the party, if they've done something, but this is the boss room, this is the heroes. This is where the heroes are important, so, tie them up with, dealing with some mooks so that the heroes can deal with the bad guys. I think that's what the players would want. Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the room, Aoth was alone against the Avac, the goblin boss. They never figured out his name, but I'm going to call him Avac so I don't have to say goblin boss. Aoth, had hurt before, goblin boss was at full health. Things were looking pretty dicey. Okay, I do remember now, one of the bugbears, I think, escaped the shatter killing. And so Avac and the 2 goblins who were huddling behind Avac, and then there was the bugbear. So the bugbear didn't hit on this first try, but the goblin boss did, and knocking Aoth down pretty badly. That actually knocked Aoth to single-digit HP, so he used his lay on hands onto himself. And assuming that Goddard had healing word, he went into the middle of the fray so we can get a better position. However, Goddard didn't have healing word, he had cure wounds. And so he had to rush into the battle, and this is a glamour bard, not a valor bard. Anyways, Avac then rolled 2 natural 20s, but luckily his second attack with the spear has disadvantage, so he rolled a 7 on that, and so he didn't hit, but he did do a decent amount of damage with his scimitar. Aoth said it tickled a little bit. He turned over, dispatched the bugbear, told Goddard to deal with the other goblin. However, Goddard pulled out a dagger and rolled a natural 1. So he cut off one of the strings of his lutes. There are other strings, but he can't play as well now. Aoth was running a bit low on health. He wanted to end this fight quickly. So he pulled out his sword and attacked with Divine Smite, expending, it was his last spell slot, I think. So he rushed forward and hit, but goblin bosses have this unique ability where they get to switch places with a goblin when they get attacked, and that goblin takes the attack. So I ruled Avac picked up one of the goblins, and Aoth totally destroyed this guy, but the player was really mad because he wasted his good attack on a goblin with 1 HP. Avac's turn came around and he rolled a natural 1, and I was trying to figure out something that would be suitable for the occasion, and then player 2 said, "Hey, I pick up the goblin." And so what happens is this Avac guy swings his mighty sword in a deadly arc, trying to attack Aoth, and Aoth picks up the last goblin by the neck, and then the sword goes through, takes down the goblin, and then Avac just looks down and is like, "Oh." That got a few cheers from the party, kind of a good reversal, which I think was the most enjoyable part of the evening, even though all of the evening was good. Douglas, coming back from just knocking out the hobgoblin, rushed over and dealt the killing blow to Avac. Creston also finally got a hit in, killed the hobgoblin, and I think the stone mage got killed off somewhere. I don't remember exactly. It was a while ago. But regardless, woo! Heroes won the day, and next week we will loot and go back to town. But for now, let's move on to the DM section of this video. So this was like a 5-room dungeon, not like the 5-room in terms of thematic dungeon, but it was just kind of a simple dungeon. I thought it really went well with the players. We didn't have any, deaths. Now, originally, in the boss room, there'd only been, like, the goblin boss, two goblins, and then whatever people fled. However, since the heroes had 6 people, and their tactic seemingly was just rush and keep rushing until everybody's dead, which, not a bad one. It took the entire dungeon by surprise. So they were doing pretty well, like demolishing all the rooms. They were all easy. And so I said, we gotta make this harder. Now, if I hadn't had the characters for Goddard and Creston, then the character sheets, then we would have had a problem, because that would be then 3 against 12 as opposed to 5 against 12. However, even Albertus destroying with Shatter, that did even the odds a little bit. So I'm glad things worked out well. Overall, I think everybody had a good time. Douglas, because his hammer had broken, he was only using his hand axe, which annoyed him a little bit. His damage output was down, but he took a longsword off one of the hobgoblins, so he now has a D8 weapon. And I'm just saying, like, Shatter, like, this kind of situation where a fireball-like spell destroys most of the people but still leaves time for an interesting combat, that's the best use of AoE attacks, is like, if you can position it so that if the players cast fireball here, it's going to even the odds considerably, make them look really cool, but there will still be an engaging, challenging combat within the battle. And it's not just going to boom, oh, I guess we won. That's a letdown. Whereas with here, there was lots of cool moments, and that's what we want out of combat. So, like, Shatter has, I think it's just a 20-foot range, maybe it's a 10-foot or 15-foot radius, I should say, not range. So make your rooms bigger than a fireball. Make sure that there's no way for the players to kill everybody, but, give them the chance to cast fireball. Also, another thing, I really wanted the hobgoblin who was trying to escape, I really wanted him to be captured so the heroes would have someone to interrogate, and I could, tell them what's going on, why these raiders are here. They're here for the loot. But on a broader level, why these raiders are here. And so I'm really excited that Mardoon got captured, and I'm hoping that the next session we will be able to have some fun with him.